Hello students, today we are going to do chapter 4 of Flamingo, The Rat Trap. The Rat Trap is a story written by Selma Lagerlöf. She is the woman, a Swiss writer. Let's read about the author. This Selma Lagerlöf was born on November 20th, 1858 in Sweden and died on March 16, 1940. Selma Lagerlöf is the renowned Swedish novelist who in 1999 became the first Swedish as well as the first woman writer to win the Nobel Prize for Literature. She was taught at home, then trained in Stockholm as a teacher. In 1885, went to Landskrona as schoolmistress. There she wrote her first novel, a chronicle of life in the heyday of a native Varmland's history, the age of prosperous iron founders and small manors. She mostly wrote about about a native village, about the people, about the iron masters, about the iron fields in a very lyrical style, full of pathos. Selma Lagerlöf ranks among the most naturally gifted of modern storytellers. The Rat Trap is a short story which beautifully brings out human loneliness and the need to bond with others. Let's talk about the theme, the message what the story gives, and the central idea of the story. This is the Rat Trap Seller. It is a moralistic story which presents us the virtues of kindness and charity, that how kindness and charity can do good to any human being. The story highlights the human predicament, that the condition of a man. Material benefits are the traps that most human beings are prone to fall into. So everybody is greedy. Everybody runs after materialistic things, and it's very common to fall into its trap. It is very common human tendency to redeem oneself from dishonest way. One cannot abstain himself from doing any dishonest thing. It conveys a universal message, a belief that essential goodness in a human being can be awakened through love, respect, kindness, and understanding. See, children, no human being is born bad. It's situation and the circumstances which make him bad. And then with love, respect, kindness, affection, understanding, we can change. The story is about an old disheartened beggar and thief who is taken in the shown generosity by a young woman. Her kindness changes his bitter attitude towards life. So we need to trust. The story beautifully brings out human loneliness and the need to have bond with others. No human being is born bad. The society and environment make them bad. Human goodness and kindness can bring about the change in their attitude. At the same time, the story also tells that the world is nothing but a big rat trap. It's a metaphorical story. This rat trap is a metaphor. This whole world is like a rat trap, and we all are rats running behind the way rats run run behind its bait. And the moment it catches its bait, the door closes and it falls into the trap. Similarly, we human beings run after materialistic things, power, success, money, position, power, everything. And the moment we start achieving, we, are, we find fallen into the trap, which will never come to an end. Relevance of the title, The Rat Trap, how far it is successful. See how the rat trying to touch the bait, it is locked in the rat trap. And same is the condition of we human beings. The rat trap is a very well chosen title. It's fully justified and appropriate one. The author has used the metaphor of rat trap to highlight the human predicament, such as a rat is fooled by bait and gets trapped. Most human beings are also prone to falling into rat trap of materialistic benefits. The story revolves around the incident of a rat trap peddler getting trapped due to his greed. The whole world is called a big rat trap, which tempts the people towards its materialistic benefits and brings about their doom and never ending predicament. Some important characters of the story will do character analysis. Iron Master, the Crofter. Crofter is the Rat Trap Peddler. You can say Rat Trap Peddler is the protagonist of the story because the entire story revolves around Rat Trap Peddler. But all the characters are equally important, like Edla Manson, the Iron Master, the Crofter, the Peddler, the Crofter, the Iron Master, Edla Manson, blacksmith, and his apprentice mechanic. Let's talk about the peddler. Poor and emaciated, poverty-stricken life. He is a very poor man with sunken cheeks and hungry eyes. Hungry eyes means searchful, looking for something. He takes advantage of the situation and opportunity. He is morally not upright. For survival, he does begging, petty thievery, and selling rat traps. And this fellow, he does not even spare his host who gave him shelter. And one night when he was roaming for shelter, the crofter which have talked in the previous slide, he gave him shelter and he had been such a warm host, but he did not even spare him and he stole his money. Considers world a rat trap and all materialistic things are baits for him. Eventually changes due to Edla's goodness. But Edla had been so kind to him that he changes his attitude towards life. Crofter. Crofter talks how he was a crofter when he was in his young age, worked in the iron mill, worked in the farm, but now he has been old, so he cannot work anymore. He gives shelter to the vagabond, a very warm host, simple, general, and hospitable. Serves porridge, offers tobacco roll, and play cards. He talks about his past profession and at present um, how he has a creamery and his cow bossy supports him. And by selling milk, how he gets 30 kroner and he shows it to his guest also. He's such a simple man that he shares his secret and finally he gets robbed by the vagabond. Now Edla Wilmanson, not very pretty, but beautiful, a very beautiful soul. She is the ironmaster's daughter. She was very persuasive. She requested the peddler to stay for Christmas Eve. She invites him home. She is kind, compassionate, shy, modest, humble, and a great host. A keen perception. She's a very good observer and extremely sharp observant, better than the ironmaster himself. She could even judge that he did not seem to be lettered, means just in a glance, she could make out that he did not look educated, though ironmaster could not make out. But Edla, she realized, in a subtle way, she brings out the hidden but inert goodness of the peddler by liberating him from the philosophical rat trap. She truly, very aptly deserves the title honorable and noble. She is noble and honorable. Now the ironmaster, a very hardworking man, successful businessman, famous for supplying good quality iron products. He was an army officer earlier and now a dedicated businessman, but very hasty and haughty in temperament. Very quickly he takes some decision, and he is not at a good judge of characters because he mistakes the peddler for his old regimental comrade. The setting and the style of story writing. It is a Swedish village, a beautiful where the story has taken place. The story is set amidst the mines of Sweden, rich in iron ore, which figure large in the history of that country. And the story is told somewhat in a manner of a fairy tale, like the author has started the story once upon a time. So, once upon a time means any time. These are some expressions in the very first page of the textbook, which we need to notice and we will see in due course of reading the text. Keep body and soul together. The peddler, what did the peddler do to keep his body and soul together? He used to do petty thievery, begging, making rat traps, selling rat traps. It means to manage to keep alive, to survive. Hunger gleamed in his eyes, feeling so hungry that the expression shows on one's face. The the hunger gleamed in Peddler's eyes because he was very poor. Plods along the road, moving aimlessly, moving along the road slowly but deliberately, to walk with the heavy feet aimlessly. This also Peddler, because his life was very dull and boring, so he plods along the road very slowly. Unwanted joy. Unwanted joy means unusual pleasure of happiness, and Peddler gets unusual pleasure when he thinks that the whole world is a rat trap. Impenetrable prison, impassable confinement. It means that one cannot come out of the jail of his imprison. And when the peddler he had stolen the money and feels that he has fallen into the rat trap, he feels that now he can never come out of that confinement. Nor did a haughty consent, indifferent agreement. Like sometimes when we are not interested, we give a very haughty consent. Means we agree to something, but not very willingly. Eased his way means moved himself slowly and carefully to be comfortable. That is eased his way. Fallen into a line of thoughts, agreement of thoughts. This peddler had fallen into the line of thoughts about world being a rat trap. Same way we sometimes fall into a line of thoughts means continuously we keep thinking about something. Things have gone downhill to decline or grow worse and worse. So Ironmaster thought that with his friend, with whom he considered, the peddler whom he considered to be his old regimental comrade, the things have gone downhill with him. Now let's have a quick short summary in point form. The Rat Trap is a story that underlines the belief that essential goodness in human being can be aroused through sympathy, understanding, and love. Once, a man went around selling small rat traps, but it took to begging and thievery to keep his body and soul together. Just now we have discussed body and soul together. One day he was struck with the idea the whole world is a big rat trap and it offers riches as bait. People let themselves be tempted to touch the bait, then it closes in on them, bringing an end to everything. One dark evening, the rat trap peddler sought shelter in an old crofter's roadside cottage. The old man gave him food, tobacco. They enjoyed the card game too. Next morning, the peddler stole away his 30 kroners. The Rattrap peddler escaped into a big, confusing forest and got lost. While resting on the ground, he recollected his ideas that the world is a rat trap and thought his end was near. The owner came on his nightly rounds and noticed the rat wretched near the furnace. He took him as an old acquaintance, Niels Olof. He invited him to stay with them for Christmas, but the stranger declined the offer. So, could you think why he declined the order? Because he was not Niels Olof. He was a poor rat trap seller. So he thought that he might be caught. His daughter Edla Wilmanson persuaded him to go home with him. She requested him to stay for Christmas Eve only. On his way to the manor house, the peddler thought that he had thrown himself into a lion's den. This himself into lion's den means knowingly putting his feet on the sharp edge because he was not the man he was mistaken for. And maybe in the dark night, the ironmaster was not able to recognize him. But definitely, the next day in broad daylight, the ironmaster realized the stranger was not captain and threatened to call the sheriff, that is, police. Edla pleaded for him and asked him to stay back. Christmas Eve at Ramsjo was as usual slept and the stranger slept and slept. He was very comfortable. He had never ever in his life had such comfortable feeling. She, Edla, made him understand that if he wanted rest and peace, he would be welcome next Christmas also. This had a miraculous effect on the peddler. Next morning, the ironmaster and his daughter went for early church service, leaving behind the guest who was asleep. They learned at church that a rat-tap peddler had robbed an old crofter. Edla becomes very upset. They reach home immediately and learned that the peddler had already left but had not taken anything at all with him. Instead, he had left a small packet for the young girl as a Christmas present. She opens the packet and finds a rat trap, three wrinkled 10 kroner notes, and also a letter with request to return the kroners to the craft. So, children, this is the short summary in the point form. But in 12th standard, summary will not do for you. It's insufficient. You have to go through each line of the chapter because the stanzas, reference to the context comes, the lines come in examination, and you are asked questions based on those lines. Moreover, there are many difficult words in the chapter which you need to know the meaning. So, this was part one of the rat trap. Again, in my next session, I'll come with part two, starting with the story. You please do read the chapter. I've just given you the idea of the chapter so that an interest is created amongst you all, and you would love to read what in detail what has happened. So in my next session, I'll come with the chapter. Thank you. Have a safe time and safe.